Did you know there are lots of creatures around the world that actually glow? One of these ways of glowing is called bioluminescence. This is the production and emission of light by a living organism. Lots of creatures underwater glow, such as fish, squid, and other organisms. Here are a few of the creatures that glow. Some creatures glow as a result of fluorescence.
Today we are going to make black lights glow in the dark paint. These are the things that you're going to need. You're going to need a pair of pliers. These are kind of strange looking pliers, but they'll work. You're going to need a highlighter, yellow is best. You're going to need a paintbrush. You're going to need food coloring, preferably the gel food coloring, and you want the blue one of that. You're going to need cornstarch. You're going to need a 1/4 cup of water. It's hard to see my measuring cup there. And you're going to need glow in the dark glue. Now you don't have to have this, but it adds to your picture. And then you need a spoon, and you'll want a picture to paint. Now, going back to my spoon, you can use a measuring spoon, but I just used what I had here because I'm not so concerned about how much I put in as I am concerned about what the consistency of this will be. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your Sharpie and you're going to open it up and you're going to take these pliers And you're going to grab hold of this little nut, of the little felt piece in here. And you may have to waggle it some. You're going to pull it out, and you're going to drop it in this water. Now, I have already dropped one in, because once you drop it in the water, you have to let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes until it turns the water yellow. This one's been in for just a little bit, and the water's getting pretty yellow. While that's finishing up, let me remind you that you need to cover your surface where you're working. I use newspapers. If you don't have a newspaper, you can use paper towels or rags or something. But you're going to want to put something down, because the food gel can be messy. And you'll see that I have gloves, because if there's anything to be messy, I'll do it. So once this has turned the water yellow, I stir it around to make sure that it's all yellow. And then I take out my little yellow thing, my little yellow felt. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 to 3 drops of my blue food coloring gel. There's 1, 2, 3. You wanted a nice turquoise shade. I'm going to stir with my brush, because I want to save my spoon so it won't be wet when I put it into the cornstarch. So I stir it, stir it, stir it, and you'll see that it's turned a nice shade of blue, kind of a turquoise blue. And so now I am ready to add my cornstarch. Now my recipe tells me to add 4 to 5 tablespoons of cornstarch. But I'm just going to tell you that when I was practicing this, I wasn't paying attention too closely, and I added too much. Because if you add too much, this liquid becomes a solid. So you want to make sure that you don't put too much in. So I'm going to put it in by teaspoons. So I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon and 2 teaspoons. And every time you add the cornstarch, you stir it. Okay, you stir it right then. Because you got to watch this, because if you don't, like I said, it will turn into a liquid. So we stir, stir, stir. Now that was not quite a tablespoon. 3 teaspoons equal a tablespoon. So there's a tablespoon. There's 1 tablespoon right there. So I'm going to stir, stir, stir. And I want to make sure that I get all of that cornstarch stirred up in my bowl. By the way, you want to use a small bowl on this. You don't want to use a great big bowl, because you've only used 1/4 of a cup of water. It doesn't matter if the water's hot or if the water's cold. Okay, so now I'm going to add 1. This doesn't have to be exact. If I was cooking cookies, I'd make this exact. 2 and 3. And so there's another tablespoon. So now we put in 2 tablespoons. And you remember it said I could put into 4 to 5, but I'm not so much concerned about how much I put in as much as I am that my paint here doesn't go into a solid. Because that's what cornstarch does, is it makes things thicker and it can make a solid. Now you'll see that my paint's still pretty runny. So I guess I'll add another tablespoon. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And do you know what I'm going to do next? That's right, we're going to stir it. The great thing about this is after we paint our picture, then we're going to put some glow in the dark blue on it, and then we are going to turn on the black light. I didn't show that in my first thing. You don't have to have a black light. You can just kind of let it sit. You can take it into a dark room, but the black light will really make it shine, because we're making glow in the dark paint. It is the cornstarch that kind of makes this glow. Still a little runny, so we'll add 1 more and we'll see how that does. Okay, there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Okay, we'll see if that'll do, because we said we don't want to add too much. So I stir this up. See how it gets really thick and gloppy? I don't know if you can see that or not. So I want to stir it real well so that this doesn't turn into a solid. And it's getting a little hard to stir. I could stir with my spoon, but then I won't be able to put it into my cornstarch. Good idea, 2 spoons. Okay, let's see what this looks like now. It's still pretty runny, but let's see. Do I want to add a little bit more? What do you guys think? Let's add a little bit more, but not too much. So we're going to put in, ooh, that was a big one. 1, and put just a teeny tad bit more. Okay, so we're going to stir, stir, stir. It's not a solid yet, but it's thicker. It's much thicker. So I'm going to try to paint with this, and we'll see what happens. So I get out my picture. Because I had used blue, I have this picture of an octopus. Can you see my octopus? I ran this off online, but of course you could draw your own picture. So I'm going to take my paint, and I know you'll be so much more careful than I am, because I'm just trying to hurry up here for you. What I painted. And you could keep painting that and take your time, but keep stirring your paint. And now I'm going to take my glue. And this is glow in the dark glue. This is not regular glue. And I am going to outline my octopus. And again, in the interest of time, I won't do the whole thing. I'm just going to do some of what I painted. And you know, the cool thing is if you use the glue is just to add to, you can do a little accent. So I'm going to put some spots on my octopus. So you'll see that I've painted and I traced around him where I painted, and I just put some dots. Now right now he's not shining, but I am going to turn off the light and we'll see what happens with this octopus. Now turn on the black light. And can you see my octopus? See how his spots are glowing? And how his paint is glowing? I think this is a really simple, cheap, fun thing to do. But I hope that you'll make a better job of it than I did. I hope you'll enjoy doing this. And that's all about illumination and shining in the dark. Ooh, now turn the black light off. And you see how it's picked up the colors? That's just with a regular light.